Hello everyone. Now I am here with my next video of recursion. In this video I am going to consider topic that is direct and indirect recursion. Already I had created one video in that I had already provided you the description of recursion and the recursive function. Still I want to give you a short revision for that. I told you earlier also. See the image, how it works. It call itself in its body, that is recursion. When we call itself in its body, see the again we are having one image which call itself in its body, that is recursion. Recursion in Java is the process in which a method call itself in its body. A method in Java that call itself is called recursive method. Then it make a code compact and complex. Compact means a shorter one and complex means it is complicated one. We have to think about where we have to stop our recursion and where we have to repeat our recursion. How we have to create the two things means we have two cases. One is base case, one is recursive case. We have to keep in mind how we have to create a recursion so that we can have the end of recursion as base case and how we are having one line for recursion so that in one line only we can have our recursion. We can call our function within that line and our task will be completed. We have to search the base case also so that whatever happens in infinite loop never happens with recursion. Otherwise, we have to face errors. Now see, syntax of a function. Recursive function, in that we are having our base case and we are having our recursive case. In that, we can have a recursion so that it may done our task, but somehow we have to stop that work. Otherwise, we have to face the thing what is known as infinite times it works. If we don't have base case or if we don't able to achieve that base case, we are having an continuous recursion process. But somehow recursion have stack. In some position it may say stack overflow. I told you earlier also what is stack, but again I am going to tell you what is stack. Stack is a data structure in which we are storing elements one by one. If we are storing elements, then it is known as push, and if we are deleting an element, it is known as pop. One end is closed, one end is open. Now, if the base case is not reached, I told you, if base case is not reached or denied, then the stack overflow problem may arise. And stack is a data structure used to deal with the data placed in the memory in LIFO principle based. It is LIFO means last in first out. Whatever element we are placing, the last elements will come first. How it is placed? See, in this way we can have our elements, and when a recursive call is made, new memory allocation for the variables are allocated on the stack, as each recursive call returns the old variable and the parameters are removed from the stack one by one. Hence, the recursion generally uses more memory and it is generally slow. Means for every recursion they are having, they are utilizing more memory, that's why they are slow. And one by one they are keeping a record, and whenever that function stop, it is popped out. And how it works? When we call a main function, it keep a record of main function. Then we call a function, then it keep record of that function. And again that function call itself, then it keeps a record of that function. If it calls again itself, it keep record of that function. If the role of this function will be completed, then it is popped out, and then it role of that function completed, it is popped out. The same way, whatever work is completed, it is popped out, and this way it works one by one. I told you earlier also types, but it is categorized according to the way they are dealing with. Sometimes we are dealing with shape, then it is said to be linear or trig. When we are saying that it is working within that function or with other function, means it is direct or indirect. If it call itself in its body, then it is direct. If recursion is going on but taking help from another function, then it is indirect. Sometimes we can have a calling of function depend on again one calling of a function, then it is nested. And sometimes we have non-nested functions also. Sometimes we can have a recursion in the last line, then it is said to be tail recursion. But in this video, I'm going to consider direct and indirect. And in my previous video, I'd already told you about linear and tree. And for last two, I will create another videos for that. Nested and non-nested, and for tail recursion. Now moving further, with the syntax of direct or indirect, means when we call a function within a function, then it is direct. See, in this way, when it is indirect, means two or more than two functions we are using and we are calling them with the help of another functions, then it is said to be indirect. Means function 1 call function 2 and function 2 call function 1, and then we have recursion. Still the recursive process is going on, but we are taking someone's help. Now see, now I am taking example of direct recursion. In this, I want to reverse a string, whatever I am getting as word, I want to reverse it and give it back. How? In this, I'm considering WRD as word. If the length of WRD is smaller than or equals to 1, I'm returning that word back. Means, for example, a word contain A, means the length of that function is 1, and I am returning that A back to the function who call it. That's why. And now see, we are having a word that is and. I want to return the reverse of and, that is DNA. I want to return it back. How it is possible to return that DNA back? Firstly, we have to pick a character. The last character we are picking. Last character is always placed in the length minus 1 location. Means A and D having a length 3, and the last character is placed in second position, means length minus 1, 0, 1 and 2. Means last character is placed in the length minus 1 position. That's why I am considering the length minus 1 position here, and I am picking a character. Means I am picking D. D will be added, or we can say we can join D with the another one. But whatever the another one, I want to pick an. That's why see, I had written this. For picking an, I am using substring. From 0 till length minus 1. I am picking that, I am getting an. Means an will be forwarded here. And what happened? Again, it will check that n is having one length 1 or smaller than 1. No. Then what happened? We are having else part. Then the same thing, we have to pick a character from length minus 1 location. Length is 2, length minus 1 is 1. We have to pick character that is n. Again we have to send it back. What we have to send? The substring that is only A, 0. Starting from 0 to length minus 1 means 1. what it provides, that is A as a word, and again we will send A back. The word will return it back, that is A. How it works? See, in this way. When we are forwarding and, it will pick D here, and again what will happen? It calls that function and provide and. Now what happened? The same thing, N will be picked, and again it will call by sending A. Now what happened? It returned A back. And it what happened? When this part receives A, N will be added to A, it becomes NA. Now NA will be written back, and what happened? D will be added to NA. It becomes DNA, and DNA will be written back to the calling function. In this way, a direct recursion works when one function calls itself in its body. That is direct recursion. And now what about indirect recursion? It is somehow complicated one, because one functions deal with the another function, and this function works as recursion only, but it takes help of another function. How it is possible? This function call the next function, and next function call another function. In this way we can have our recursion, but the working is complicated one. How it is complicated one? Now see, if we are sending is even number, that is 5, what will happen? When we are sending number that is 5, then that 5 will be checked here, and if it is true, it will. If num is 0, then it will return true. But if num is not 0, what it will return? Means it call is odd function, means this one is called. Then what will happen? It will call the next function, that is odd, and send num, that is 4 here. But again it will call even one by sending 4. Then what happened? See, then is even is called by using a number, that is 4. And again see, num is equals to 0 not works, then it return is odd, that is num minus 1, that is 3. Now is we are sending is odd a number, that is 3, and now what happened? Is odd will send is even number, that is 3. Again is even is called by number 3. Then again num is not 0, then is odd will be called by using 2, and again it will call is odd by sending a num 3. Num is 2, is even is called with the num 2, and is even is called with num 2. Then what happened? Again num is not equals to 0, then is odd is called with num 1, and num is odd called is even by sending 1. What happened? Is even again call even by sending num equals to 1. Again num is not equals to 0, then is odd will be called by sending 0. Is odd, what happened? Is odd will call is even by sending num equals to 0. Now what happened? Num is equals to 0, then we have to return true back. It is a complicated one. Try to go it slowly so that you can able to understand. Now what will happen when we are getting num equals to 0? We have to return true, but whom we have to return? A person, those who are calling, we have to return it back. When we are getting true, we are returning it back. What will happen? We are getting opposite value. because we are returning it back. The true is return it back, and it returns us false because just opposite it is. It return us false, and then we have to give it back. Those who are calling, we have to return it back. When we return it back, what happened? It return again. Then see, false will return again to the calling one, and calling one provide us just opposite of false, that is true. True again return back, and true is sent to the calling function, but it again provide us opposite value, that is false. False is returned back, and now false return to the calling function, but the call function always provides us opposite value, that is true. True will be returned back, and true, when it is moving toward the calling one, calling provides us just opposite value, that is false, then the answer will be false. And if you have still any doubts, because it is complicated one, try to go and reverse the whole thing and see it again. Video you have to go it again and again. If you have any doubt, still you have any doubt, then do consult with me. Otherwise, goodbye and good luck.